Hey, Kyle, that's a nice hat you have there.
This thing?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Where'd you get it?
No, they sent us a cool package. It's a company in California called Baked in LA, and they sent like a few of these. And I think it's a little young for me because it's that like
Oh, don't
smaller
say that.
brim. But I really like the corduroy. I think it's a really good like beach hat. But I have a hard time in general because like my head's really big, but this
Mhm.
one fits pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Hats don't usually look good on me.
Yeah, and
So
they
I don't know
also
how this
sent
looks.
they also sent these socks that I love. Baked in LA. I think they're really cool. I'm a big crew sock girl, so they sent a couple pair. I love them.
Well, I just like anything that's like I would never wear a hat that's like I would never wear like an Under Armour hat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like something you could buy at like Finish Line,
Yeah.
I think is like so corny. But something that's like different, even if it's not a well-known brand, oh, what is that? Like I like to wear like bars that we go to, like the Shell is like my favorite t-shirt. Or
Yeah.
I like things that you can't buy at the mall. If you could buy it at the mall or Target, it's just not cool.
Right.
You know, I don't like any brands like that. Like I wouldn't wear like a Nike hat or an Under Armour hat. It needs to be something like I'd rather wear like, you know, a local bar.
Exactly.
Or, you know, until this company gets really big, they're ideal. But if they blow up and end up in Target, that'd be amazing for them, but then they're not as cool. That's like a real like paradox.
The exclusivity of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Just it's cool when people are like, "Oh, where'd you get that? That's really cool. I haven't seen that."
Yes. But this is a fun logo. And I really like skulls too.
Yeah,
So,
you do. You are obsessed with skulls.
Yeah. So it's a fun hat for me.
Yeah, but the company, they were listeners of the podcast, and we appreciate that. And they sent us some of their stuff. It's pretty cool. Their Instagram is at bakedin.LA. So check them out.
Yeah. So big Christmas weekend just wrapped it up.
Yep. It's so sad when Christmas is over. Like literally the next morning I wake up and I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But I want to keep our like Christmas stuff up. This is why you need to let me put the Christmas stuff up in October so we get more out of it. Because you could keep it up after Christmas, but then it just seems like you're like lazy.
Right.
You know, it's not the same vibe.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it is so crazy that like the Christmas spirit leaves like at midnight on the 26th because like the next day, if you got up and were like, oh, I want to watch another Christmas movie, it just feels like weird to watch a Christmas movie after Christmas.
Yeah, I deleted the Christmas holiday on my Spotify. I always had like the greatest hits,
right?
Like, a playlist that I would just play throughout the month in the house. And today I deleted it, and it was really sad.
I remember there was a line in Seinfeld, you know, many years ago, and it was Jerry said, "People snap out of that Christmas spirit like a drunken sleep or something. Like you just snap out of it. Like, oh, it's over.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah. The Christmas spirit is like very time specific. Once Christmas ends, all right, let's get ready for summer. Strict deadline.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but we had a good holiday.
Definitely a good holiday.
Any excuse, like we said before, any excuse just to make a bunch of food is always fun.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. But it sucked that there was no fights this weekend. Or since the last episode. Actually, the only real fight that was in the news was did you see Chael Sonnen? He won 5 fights, 5-0 in Las Vegas to one of my favorite people. I actually don't know him. I feel like I should have met him at some point, but I don't know Chael Sonnen, but he's one of my favorite people. But when I saw that he got arrested, I was like, oh wow, what? I mean, because he doesn't drink or really party, and it was in Vegas, so. What I figured was someone messed with him or his family, and it was like a must fight situation. And as it turns out, I think that's exactly what happened. Have you seen any of this?
I just saw like that happened, and then some things that like John Jones was like, see, before you criticize, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, well, no, some people were like harassing his wife or something and something like that, and he beat him up. So it wasn't like quite the same, and I think like John Jones might have said that before he really knew the details of it, maybe.
Oh, he was probably so happy.
Oh my god, so happy. But it's funny, like when like John Jones gets arrested, you're just like right away like, what happened now? What, like, because you know when he gets arrested, like there's not really an excuse for it. There's always like some type of immature behavior. But with him, Chael Sonnen, you're like, oh, I wonder what happened.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I figured would happen. But it's just such a weird thing. Like, because some people I've seen like, well, you know, what do people expect? You're messing with a fighter's wife. You're saying something about a fighter's wife. Like, I think that as a fighter, and like, when is it okay for you to fight? Like, when is it okay for like a male fighter to fight someone?
I
Like,
mean,
if someone said something rude about you, I mean, I'm not a fighter, but if someone's said something, oh, like nice ass, or like said something harassing
to me,
you,
yeah.
and I was there, like, I couldn't imagine like fighting them.
They would have to.
They'd have to like do something, like physically do something.
Physically, like almost like touch me or hurt me.
Right. Because if they just said something to you, if you fight someone, what's going to happen is no matter what they said, if you fight someone, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's completely bullshit, but now he's got to deal. I mean, nothing really bad is going to happen to him, but you have to deal with that, like the legal process.
Yeah.
You know, and that sucks because, you know, he was just doing what you think is the right thing to do. But this day and age, like, especially as a fighter, there's very few circumstances where you're permitted to fight.
And I know it's easier said, but Chael Sonnen's not only like a really good fighter, he's so like super famous. Think about like all the, you know, his podcast is huge. He runs a grappling promotion. So he's definitely like a public figure. So, I mean, you have to like know that kind of comes with it. But if someone's just like, and like his wife, I don't know her personally, but she is like super hot. So like you have to be like kind of, I'm sure that wasn't.
Well, who knows? Maybe they did touch her or something.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm saying like when just in general, when people like that in a relationship, if someone like says something to the girl and people fight, it's like, I don't know. Like, first of all,
like, am I a pussy for like not beating someone up for saying something to you?
But wouldn't you almost like take it as like a compliment too? Kind of.
Yeah, I would. Of course.
I mean, if we're out in Vegas and I'm wearing like a short dress and like, you know what I mean, something like a sexy outfit, then you're kind of like, you can't get mad at people like.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's rude, but you're in Vegas, people are drunk. I'm not saying I don't know this specific situation, but in general.
He's so smart though, that he knows, well, I could fight these guys. I probably am not going to go to jail, but my name is going to be like trending for the full week. Like there just happened to not be fights that week too. So it was probably in the news even more, but someone who makes their living on clicks and like downloads, for that to happen, like to him during that week, it was probably like a really good thing.
Yeah.
Like for him, his like brand and name gets more valuable because it's trending.
Yeah.
So if your job is based on that, like, then I guess it's okay to do something like crazy.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not like, I mean, he fought people that were like harassing his wife. It wasn't like he was like beating up his wife or something.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
I mean,
he was defending his wife, not beating his wife.
Right.
But yeah. You know, either way, he's not going to go to jail or anything like that. So it'll work
if
out.
someone was like saying stuff to me, you wouldn't fight him?
Saying no, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if that's
you like
bad.
did, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Because I just wouldn't want to have to deal with like the legal process, like have to go to court and
Or just
have
like,
to get bailed out, like
have to go back for stuff.
right.
Like,
Especially if you were out of town, you have to like travel back for court dates and get a lawyer, and like it's just too much like administrative duties for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not into that.
No, definitely not.
Too much paperwork.
Way too much paperwork.
Yeah, but maybe there's a situation I would fight someone, but it would have to be pretty dire.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in like a real fight.
No.
I would have to have like a girl like physically really try to like mess me up to like fight back. Like I've been in situations when I was like younger out where like girls were like yelling, but I'm like, I can't even yell back. Like, what am I going to say? Like,
it would hurt your throat.
Bitch. Like, I just can't do that. I would just start laughing. But even if like a girl like pushed me, I wouldn't fight back. I'd be like, that's not fair. I mean, it's a little bit different I think for guys, because even a guy that's not a fighter or doesn't have training, they're still big and they like just have that natural instinct to go. Like any like girl, I feel like I could just like body lock them and like hold them, you know?
Right.
I would just be like, don't pull my hair. That's annoying.
Yeah, that.
If they pulled your hair and like when they grab on, then you really have to like.
Then you gotta fight.
You almost have to just to get them off, because otherwise nothing will get. Once they grip on, I like worked at a club for a long time and I've seen like girl fights. Once they grip onto the hair, there's nothing you can do. The worst is when girls are grabbing each other's hair, and
especially you, because you have real hair. If it was like extensions, they would probably rip right out.
Yeah, pull out. Yeah.
Right.
But I've seen it where they're grabbing onto each other's hair and like bouncers or like the guys are pulling them apart. I'm like, don't pull them apart. You're making it worse.
Right.
Because then they're just pulling each other's hair. They will not let go.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. It would take a lot for me to have to fight someone.
Yeah.
I would have to be real self-defense. Like I was in danger.
We hope the best for Chael.
Yes.
The other thing that I've seen a lot in the new week in like MMA news, MMA related, is a lot of people are saying, like, did Tyron Woodley's legacy get tarnished from this like knockout by Jake Paul? I want to get your thoughts on it. What do you think about that?
I mean, there's no difference between now and it just blends in with the first one, I think.
Well,
the first fight.
The first fight, I mean, you could argue that Tyrone won. It was a split decision, right? Like,
yeah, that's right.
But
I just feel like it's blended in with the same. It's something totally different. He's already retired. Like, it's just, for me personally, I don't think it's a big deal. He's not a boxer. He took this one on short notice. Like, he's retired. To me, I don't think it changes. It's totally different than him at his prime fighting in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think the common casual fans might feel differently because they don't really understand all that.
Right. One thing that happened, like now he has that like that video image of him like falling flat on his face, and that's really bad, and the memes are bad. But in terms of his legacy, like there's really like no such thing really. Like, nobody cares about you once you stop fighting, and that's what a legacy would be, is when you're done, what will you be remembered for? And no one remembers anything. Like if you ask like a lot of fighters on the roster, like who Matt Hughes is, like no one would even remember, and he's one of the best fighters like ever, you know. There's plenty of guys like that. And I think that in terms of like his career, like if he looks back at it, in the MMA, he is as successful as you could possibly be. He was a champion and defended it multiple times, and, you know, was like a super respected champion. So the only thing that matters is championships and dollars. So then since he got out of MMA, transitioned to boxing, he's made tons of money. He's made millions of dollars.
Right.
So like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are like, oh, his legacy, that doesn't matter. If someone's going to pay you millions of dollars after you retire to do a sport that you've never done, like that's why it's hard to get behind those matches, because I don't think he really cares.
Right.
So like if he doesn't care, why should anyone else? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect his legacy.
Yeah. I mean, it might affect his legacy towards, like I said before, those common fans. And those are the people that get behind the fights and are like, he's a UFC champion and Jake Paul's just started. And he beat him. He's so good. It's like, I mean, he did, and he is good, but it's just something totally different. And it, like, you have to really understand the sport to get that. And if you get really emotional about a YouTube fighter fighting people, if you get really emotional about it, I think you're not very smart. Like, right. Why are you? People get
that's just for fun. People don't understand. Like, and there's a lot of money involved, but like same with a movie. There's a giant budget, tons of money involved, but it's not real. And that's the same as this. This is definitely a real fight. It's not fixed or staged or anything, but it's just entertainment. You can't think of it like a sporting event. So in terms of his legacy, it's just now he's an entertainer. He's no longer an athlete.
I think he's, to me, like I said, the people that get upset about these type of matchups and get so mad about the money they're making and get so jealous of Jake Paul and all this, I just think I'm like, oh, you're an MMA fan, but you don't really know much about business.
Right.
You don't understand entertainment and business and how, and like the internet and how it works. And I will admit, like, I definitely can't understand half of it, but I understand that it's something different. And if you don't understand that, you get upset. I just think you're super like closed-minded. And you know what I mean? Like, I think Tyron Woodley's like so smart for positioning himself into being a retired fighter and then making millions of dollars doing this, like getting in there. Cause obviously everyone says that they would do it, but to actually get in place to do that, make the deal, get the fight, get the rematch, do it and stuff, make millions of dollars. Like that's going to like change his life.
Right.
Even after he retired from the UFC as a multiple time champion.
Right. Yeah. So that's ridiculous to say, oh, care about his legacy. It doesn't matter. He definitely doesn't care, and neither should you.
Did you see Jake Paul was saying that he wants to play in the NFL?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said it on, I saw like a clip of it on Logan Paul's podcast, and he said he wants to play in the NFL. He's like, I can do it. And then I think Logan Paul said to him, like, I'm really bad. First of all, I'm really bad with positions. But it's like he's maybe safety. I don't know.
Strong safety.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on the position or whatever. And he's like, I'm strong and I'm willing to go out there. And he's like, I show that. And he's like, and then Logan asked him, he goes, oh, so do you think that's kind of like the same as like a football player wanting to go to boxing? And he's like, no, absolutely not. He goes, I played football. He's like, I played football like my whole life growing up. He's like, it's totally different. He's like, obviously, like I'm strong and I have power and I'm like willing to, he's like, I just want to like.
Well, like the NFL athlete, like the NFL, those are the most athletic, strongest, fastest, best athletes in the world. There's nothing more athletic than the NFL, and they're so skilled too at the
it's so
sport of
competitive.
football.
And he's saying
you can't just walk in, you can't just play football.
He was like saying the amount of like money and attention he would bring to the team that he would play on.
I don't know if it really works like that for the NFL. Like you can only sell a certain amount of tickets. Like Dallas Cowboys sell out every game anyway. Like if he's on the team, people aren't. I guess maybe they could raise the price,
or maybe they go to like a team. I don't know if he goes even like the worst.
I don't think people care. There's so many people on the field, you wouldn't even know. Like, well, where is he? There's 21 other players on the field.
Right.
Like it'd be hard to even find someone unless it's Tom Brady. Nobody cares. They're just going for the event.
So the only person that would be really benefiting from that would be Jake Paul.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't
see that happening.
I don't, but I wouldn't be like totally shocked if something happened.
Yeah. But moving on back to real sports, you're closing in on fight camp. How are you feeling?
I feel really good. I'm 3 weeks out. So really that's only like 2 weeks of training. And then the last week's fight week, you're like in Vegas the whole week doing that. So two more weeks of hard training. Like a couple weeks out, I was a little nervous because I'm like, towards the end of my camp is the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. So that kind of like gyms are closed. Some people aren't around. So I was a little worried about that because you know how I'm like OCD with my routine.
Right.
And so I was definitely worried about that affecting me. Just not physically, just like mentally because I'm a psycho. But I feel like I've been handling that really well and just kind of adapting my training, and I kind of just figured it out. I have a couple days where a couple days of training where there's set training, but I can adjust it if I need to. And I think that's been helping me a lot. I think having a couple days where I train on Long Island, like where we live and close to us, has been super beneficial for this camp. Almost sometimes I'm like, if I have a day where I'm doing all training on Long Island, I get home and I'm like, I feel like I'm not training enough. I feel like I'm at home like hanging out. I'm like, wait, I did 3 sessions today. It's just that
you're used to sitting in a car for like 2 hours at a time.
Eliminating that driving time has been helpful. I mean, I'd still go to travel to Jersey twice a week, and that's definitely not fun. I mean, it'll take me. I'm driving 6 hours a day just to go to training for those days. So like, but every time I go, like last Tuesday I went, I'm like, I only have to do this 3 more times.
Right.
Every week I'm like, I only have to do this 2 more times. And then once my fight's over, I still go. But then it's different because I don't have to. You don't have to. Yeah.
So when you're in like training camp, what do you think? What's the focus? Is it like game planning? Is it acquiring new skills? Is it peak physical conditioning, sharpening existing skills? What do you think when you're in fight camp? What's the focus?
I think just more like peak physical conditioning type of thing. Just because for me personally, I'm constantly working on things. If I don't have a fight, I'm like in jiu-jitsu being like, how can I get better at this part? How can I get better I never just like go to jiu-jitsu and just be like, oh, let's go. What's going on? Drill the move that they show in live. I'm like in training every round, like trying to do different things. I'm super focused on that. I'm not just like, hey, want to float roll this round? Like, even if I don't have a fight. So when I do, I'm just like, okay, I have to do this many times this day. I have to be in top physical shape so I can like not get lazy in any position, and I can be super tired and still do everything perfect.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I would think is the most important thing in fight camp, because you have 10 weeks to get in the best possible physical condition to win your fight. Because I don't think that's a time where you would focus on like acquiring new skills.
I agree.
When you're not in camp, that's when you would be like, all right, I'm going to do this round southpaw.
That's exactly what I do.
Mostly kick the next round. and then you could acquire new skills. Whereas when you're in fight camp, I think it's about, peak physical conditioning and keeping your existing skills sharp. And then like, as far as like game plans, like if you're going against a grappler, like a heavy takedown person, you maybe focus on, more takedown defense than you normally would, or getting up off the bottom. But I think it's about like physical conditioning and keeping your existing skills really sharp, not about like learning new things or even like game planning, like what exactly you're going to do. Cause that could change,
I think as I get closer to my fight, I put more emphasis on my strengths than my weaknesses, just because, I mean, I'm always working on it. And like, I do situations, in striking and in grappling where I'm like, okay, this is a bad situation. If I get stuck here, what do I do? And I just get over like certain areas where I'm like, you know what? I'm not super comfortable here. I want to be as comfortable there as I am in other positions. I'll kind of drill them over and over again. But a lot of it, my focus is on my strengths and what I do good. And just because I think that's just like the more positive route, where other people are completely opposite. They'll be like, this person, has crazy overhand, and they just have the sparring partner throw overhands the whole entire time. And then it's like, then you get hit with an overhand and you're like, oh wait, I suck at this. They're going to beat me if they land that. And why don't you just be like, well, if they land it, it's not shit, because I'm doing so much other stuff. Like,
right.
That's just, and I think all of that is just different personalities and preference. But for me, it's just like staying positive and staying confident. And, as I get closer to the fight, when my strength and my speed starts increasing, that's when I always like get more confident as it goes on. When you're like 5 or 6 weeks out, you're still you're not there yet, but you've done so much work.
Yeah. You feel like you should be further along than you are.
You've done so much work, and you're like, I've been training so hard for so many weeks, especially this fight I've known for 13 weeks. So like when you get to like 5 weeks out, you're like, oh, I'm so like you spar and you're like, wait, nothing's working. You're like, fuck, like I've been practicing this for so many weeks over and over again, but I'm still kind of tired. And then all of a sudden, then you get like, 4 weeks, you start kind of panicking. And then all of a sudden, like one session, you're just like, oh, I'm ready to fight. Like I can fight now.
Right.
And that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like feeling really good. Even if I have a session where I'm like technically don't do very well, I'm in a good place where I know I'm like, oh, it's just kind of like the day. When you're doing 3 sessions a day, they can't all be good.
Right.
Something that really helped me in the last couple of years was because I used to get really crazy about my training schedule. And if I missed a training session, or if it wasn't good, or if like my training partners weren't there and I just had like random people there to go with, it used to really, really like mess with me. And something you told me that totally changed it for me was saying, I think it was like one camp I had like a really bad staph infection. I had to take like 4 or 5 days in a row off, and I was like 4 weeks out, and I was like, oh my God, I'll have to pull out of the fight. Like there's no way.
Right.
I can't go 4 days without training. And you said about how training sessions are like deposits in the bank, and every session I do, it's like a deposit in the bank. So like if I need to take off, I have so much stacked up that it's fine.
Right. Like a session that you did in July that you didn't have to do, that counts for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not just about, oh, I didn't work out on Tuesday. Yeah. But if you work out year round, those are all deposits into your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if, you have 100 hours worth of, training in, but your fight requires 110, those are the fights you're going to lose.
Right.
So you have to have enough training to cover the difficulty of the fight, but those deposits outside of camp, they count.
Yeah.
So I think that's why like training camp means like less for someone like you who trains year round.
Mm-hmm.
This is just about like peak physical conditioning and like getting your sleep right, your diet, your weight down. Those are the things where camp.
Yes.
Everything else, training is like a year-round part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think of you, anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that's helped me from having like meltdowns where I'm like, oh my God, I can't miss days, and now I'm like, I'm so confident, and it's not in a like a lazy confidence where I'm just like, I train so much, like I spar 3 to 4 days a week for all the time. So if no one's sparring on Christmas and I only could spar 2 days a week that week, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
And I still make up for it in other trainings. Yeah, for camp, for me, it's more just like, okay, if I want to do something on this day and they're sparring, I can't miss it. I have to get the equal amount of training sessions in. I can't just be like, should I do striking or jiu-jitsu today? It can't be what I want to do. It has to be like what I have to do.
Right. Yeah. So, but I'm really excited. You got just a couple of weeks to iron it out. And then I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
That's the next event.
Yeah.
The next UFC event.
Which is crazy because I feel like it's far away, but I'm like, there's literally not any fights until
That's
mine.
It. Yeah. Next one, co-main event. So we got a ton of listener questions that we're going to go over most of those.
Yeah.
Or a lot of those.
Well, first we're going to try a new segment. Right? And what's it called? Okay, it's Am I the Asshole? We're going to get a situation we have to read. We haven't heard it yet.
That's why I actually was going to just graze right over this because it's a long one and I don't think I'm comfortable reading that out loud.
Okay.
So that's going to be on you.
To what? To read it?
Yeah.
Out loud?
Yeah.
I'm not a strong reader.
Well,
You're
I know,
the reader. I
can't
read. I'm like, my palms are getting sweaty because you just said I have to read something. I do not read. I tell the teacher ahead of time I'm not comfortable reading out loud.
So I'm reading this, or is our producer Zane?
Yeah. Kyle, you're so good at reading. What are you talking about? I make you read everything.
AIT, am I the asshole for ruining my husband's Christmas? She's a 29-year-old female. Husband, he's a 33-year-old male, is the breadwinner. And I'm
stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom. Exactly. We used to both work, but due to medical problems, I couldn't keep working. As a result, I don't have what they call fun money or money to spend however I want. My husband gives me money only to spend on the house or the kids, but that's that. I might borrow money here and there and try to figure something out if I needed essential things like hygiene products. This Christmas, my husband gave me $600 as my Christmas gift. I freaked out thinking I now have to get him a decent gift to match this. So I went shopping and got him the most affordable thing on his wish list, which was a $180 pair of sneakers with his favorite color. I didn't show him the gift until we visited his parents' house for Christmas. And when it was time to opening the gift, he opened it, saw the sneakers, and looked extremely upset, like he was about to blow up. I asked, "What's up?" And he asked, why in blue hell I decided to waste money and get him sneakers, aka the cheapest gift on his wish list. I said it's all I could afford, and he literally lashed out and said, "Bullshit, I gave you $600. That's about the right price for a new gaming console, and it was right there on top of my wish list." He said in front of my parents, and it was so awkward. Felt horrible. I wanted to disappear, but I apologized and said I was sorry, but I had other stuff I needed to buy. Money wasn't enough. He took it as in I was blaming him for not giving him enough money, and he picked an argument with me about how wasteful and financially irresponsible I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be struggling with money for so long. I disagreed and said I don't have a salary due to medical issues, not being irresponsible. As also told him he could get the gaming console himself since he has money, but he got all dramatic and ranted about how he wouldn't because then he'll be judged for getting anything for himself. His parents tried to get involved, but he straight up told me how disappointed he was and said that I ruined his Christmas. And when I went upstairs and avoided talking to him till he got back, the whole argument restarted. He kept repeating that he was disappointed and that I ruined his Christmas. for him saying, "Good job, screwing up," even though I pointed out how rude it was for him to react that way in front of his parents. He's wanting an apology at the moment, and I'm still upset. And I'm still upset about what I did. Am I the asshole?
That's all you had to do. That was good.
That was really hard.
You expected me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of funny because I feel like we have like some friends that are like, some people are, or everyone knows someone that's like stay-at-home mom and doesn't work. Or it could be a stay-at-home dad. Well, they don't work. And then I've always wondered, I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's like when it's like the gifts. You know what I mean? But I think when you have, first of all, they're married. So like, I feel like you guys should have this kind of, if you're married already, like how are you?
What do you mean he's giving you money? Don't you have a joint account that you have a card to? And like, why he gives you money? That means like you're like a pet.
Yeah, a slave.
Or even, I mean, even like a child. He has to give you money. You should have access to the money, right?
I mean, I think so. Yeah. I just think you should, by the time you're married, you should have an idea of how you're doing gifts.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely not like the question, am I the asshole? No, she's not the asshole. That's okay what she did.
He is the asshole.
But she's really dumb, though, because you put yourself in a position where you have to ask for money to buy hygiene products.
Yeah.
You know, that's like insane. Like she's definitely not getting her lashes or nails done, right?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a difficult situation that she's in, but she's definitely not the asshole, but it's, you know, a ridiculous situation.
And to be like, he gave her $600 and be like, no, now I have to get something to match that. Like, what?
I mean, like that guy, like, and what does he care about a gaming console? Like he's a gamer. He should get like another job. He should drive like Uber instead of playing games so he could afford more than like $600 for his wife for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with him? Why would he be... Why does he need a game set? He's poor.
And then she put in the edit that he has an Xbox.
But yeah, he should not be wasting time playing games. He can't afford to be a gamer.
Yeah.
If you don't have money to like buy your wife like hygiene products, you do not have time to be a gamer. And also $180 pair of sneakers. Like, I feel like he doesn't deserve that either.
No, I don't think he deserves anything.
That's a lot of money for sneakers for someone who could not afford hygiene products.
Yes.
He should be wearing like $30 like Walmart sneakers.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
A third of the money you give your wife for the holidays is going to go towards sneakers.
And imagine like acting like that in front of like your parents too.
It's so embarrassing.
That's so embarrassing.
Like she's not the asshole, but she's definitely very stupid for being in that type of relationship. And he is just the loser.
Yeah, total loser.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, he's the asshole in the situation, but she's almost like a bigger asshole for marrying him. Like, it's not like, oh, we're dating and he kind of changed a little bit. Like, I mean, you married that guy, so you're the asshole.
Yeah, that's like, you know, the chicken or the egg. Like, what came first?
Yeah.
Really, it's just, they're just in a shit relationship and they can't afford to buy buying gifts. They shouldn't be buying gifts. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, you're like 30 years old. Do you really need to keep doing gifts?
Like we do gifts just because we like seeing like presents under the tree. But like I didn't get anything crazy and like you didn't get me anything too crazy. But like, you know, a couple weeks before, you know, you bought yourself a nice watch. Like I could have went to the account and like took the money out and bought you that watch. But like, what's the difference? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you need to figure that out. If you want something, buy it, but it should come out of if it comes out of a joint account, the gift thing is just like semantics. It's like opening a box, right?
Yeah. And if that bothers him that she doesn't work, then you need to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, he has time to game. He should be driving Uber on the side.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's in my opinion.
I want to know what kind of shoes they were.
$108 sneakers. I don't really buy sneakers.
Yeah.
But is that how much they are? Like, I don't really.
Well,
I don't know sneakers.
You only wear you only wear the free Reebok sneakers that.
Yeah, mostly wear free Reebok sneakers.
I feel like all your shoes are Gucci, so like.
Well, those aren't sneakers though. Really.
They're like different.
Yeah, that's different.
But like sneakers, you're
like, how much is a pair of Nikes? I don't even know.
I think they're like 100.
100. These
Like,
are like Nike.
I think 100, and then some are like I'm talking like basic. Obviously, I'm not like a sneakerhead at all, but like like cool Nikes at Foot Locker, I think they're like 100 to like 140.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy stuff like that.
You have free Reebok shoes that you've gotten from cornering people at UFC.
Yeah, that's what I wear in terms of like sneakers, like for like exercising or like, if I were to run or something like that, I would wear sneakers that Reeboks that are free. But in terms of like nice shoes, I don't buy like nice sneakers. I would buy like nice shoes that you wear with like jeans or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked one of the questions they asked is like what we got each other for Christmas. And like you said, so like what you said, we're not really like big gift people like for that. I mean, we just get stuff.
We get stuff like that the house needs. Like I got a really nice like that new Breville coffee espresso machine. It's like a good one.
But it's kind of like, all right, well, it's like stuff that we've been wanting to get for the house. And then we're just like, oh, okay, here's an excuse to pull the trigger and just get it. Like,
right. But I think like the presence is more like in the early stages where like, oh, I'm going to buy you a Gucci bag. And then it looks like, wow, he spent that much money on a Gucci bag. But if I buy you a Gucci bag now, like it's just taking money out of the account. You could buy it yourself, right?
Well, it's different when I think once you are married or
it's not impressive if I take money out of our account and buy it, right?
Yeah. I think once you get to a point where you're like married, or even if you're not married, but you have a house together, it's like, all right, what are we doing here? We don't like, you know what I mean? You're just taking money out of the account for, to have something on this day.
Right.
But it is still fun, like to open up like fun gifts.
Opening gifts is definitely fun. Yeah. It's better. That's why it's nice to get like a few, like not too, not insane, but yeah, it's definitely fun. So let's answer some of our questions.
Okay.
And that segment was an idea brought to us by our producer, Zane. And so if people listen to it and they're like, oh my God, he's so dumb. He doesn't even know how to read. I really tried my best there, but I was nervous.
And I hope it wasn't put on the spot.
I hope it wasn't. It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. So I hope that wasn't just like complete nails on a chalkboard for our listeners.
It wasn't bad. I mean, if I just physically couldn't get through it.
Okay, what are our questions?
Okay. So first one, how do I tell my partner that they need to lose weight?
I don't think that's something you can tell your partner. I think that you could say like, oh, we should start working out together, or we should start eating more healthy. And then you could almost like trick her or him into thinking like it's their idea, but you have to be like promote a healthy lifestyle, like suggest lifting together, suggest, doing physical activities together, make like a New Year's resolution together. Like, oh, we're going to only eat, healthy during the week, cheat on the weekends, something like that. I think that you have to like trick her into a healthy lifestyle. I don't think you could just say you need to lose weight.
Yeah, it's interesting because now, like, at the point we are in our lives, like, you see people that are our age or a little bit older, like, they're married and all of a sudden, they're getting older and, like, one person gets, like, super out of shape or even if it's not, like, out of shape, like, fat, or they might just, like, stop taking care of themselves. Like, they might not, like, look good anymore, not, like, dressing great or whatever. And it's always interesting. I'm like, and especially if it's both of them doing it, then that's okay. But when one person is, I'm always like, that's interesting. Like, I wonder, obviously, that the other person notices that. And like how it's weird when one person just lets themselves go and the other person doesn't.
Very weird.
Because then you would almost think there's like a TikTok trend that goes on. It was like it's like it'll be like a girl like laying in bed being like, when I'm lazy and don't feel like going to work out, but then I realize like my boyfriend's super hot and every girl likes him, and they get up and they run and they're like, he's really in shape and super hot, so I gotta go, But like, I don't know, it's definitely weird when one person, how do you tell them that? Because then people just get super offended. But I would do the same thing. I would be like, well, why don't we both do it? Because that's honestly, if your partner does need to get in shape or lose weight or whatever, get healthier, that's what you should do anyway, because you should care about them just like it's yourself. So you should want to see them getting healthier. So you should do it together.
Yeah. I just think you can't say you need to lose weight. I think that's not a good, you're never going to be able to say that like delicately. you have to, convince them that working out is good. They need to exercise.
Yeah. And even if your partner says, if you notice they need to lose weight and they say it, you don't agree with them.
Right.
You don't say, yeah, you really do. You say, well, if that's what you want to do, we could do it together.
Right.
You don't say, if like a girl says like, oh, I feel like I need to lose weight. Don't say, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Don't say that ever.
Right.
No matter how much you think it. All right. Next we have you ever dated anyone with kids or a kid?
Have you?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you have.
No.
Never?
No. Now you're like making me second guess it. I'm like, wait, did I? No, I never did.
I feel like you told me that you did.
No, I didn't tell you that.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I've dated people with kids.
Yeah. Did you like meet them and see them?
Yeah.
That is so funny. I can't picture
Yeah.
you. Like,
well, I think we've talked about the one, well, I mean, it's not like a super serious relationship, but the girl with Kyle tattoo, she had a kid.
Okay.
And then another girl had a kid also.
Yeah. But you didn't like, were you that serious in the relationship where you had to like play like, were you going to like take the kid to like see Santa at the mall type of thing?
No. Nothing. No, not really. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
No.
So obviously it's not like a deal. It wasn't like a deal breaker for you.
It was like, I didn't really take either relationship serious. Like I never thought like, oh my goodness. It didn't matter if she could have had like 10 kids. Like, because you just like, we're going to hang out sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's like inconvenient for her to find a babysitter probably, but that was more like her problem.
Yeah. Not your problem.
I never thought like, oh, am I going to be okay being a stepdad? Like I wasn't really like what I was thinking at the time.
I feel bad. It's not like I feel bad saying like, oh, I wouldn't date someone with a kid. I mean, obviously it was like younger. I'm sure as you get older, that changes. If you were like, in your late 30s or even older than that, like the chances of someone and you're still dating, the chances of someone having a kid,
that goes up.
It goes up. So that's a different situation. But in my 20s, it was kind of a deal breaker for me. And people will be like, "That's so rude. You shouldn't say that." I'm like, "Well, no, I'm allowed to like what I want to like." And I would always say, I'm like, it's a shame because someone could have a kid and they could be like really great, but I would never like let myself get to know that person just because for me personally, and I don't judge anyone that does it. I think it's great. People need to be
tough for you.
Yeah. People need to find that, but I'm like so selfish that I couldn't like share that. And that's just not like what I wanted. But also, like I said, that's easier when you're in your 20s. And there's nothing wrong with dating someone that has kids. I think it's great. But for me personally, that was just that. I just remember I've said that before and people are like, that's so rude. I can't believe you would say that. I'm like, because I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult for me too. Like, especially like if you ended up like marrying the person, then you like are really in that kid's life. I would just feel really weird. Like, let's say the kid wanted to start wrestling and I would be like, well, I can't really teach him wrestling. Like, what if his dad wants to teach him wrestling? And I'm sure his dad would like suck at wrestling. So he'd be showing them like how to shoot a high crotch and it'd be like wrong. What am I going to correct him and say like, no, you shoot the high crotch like this or anything like throwing a football or a basketball. Like,
yeah.
Like, well, my dad said like, oh, then he's right. Because your dad's right. So
no matter what,
I would be completely off. I wouldn't like totally hands off.
Yeah. It's funny.
And I don't think that that's really right, but it's me being sensitive to the other person.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
All right. What else?
No stepkids for us. Okay. Is it normal to grow bored in your relationship with your partner?
I would say like what defines normal? Like normal. So if there's 10 people are more than 6 bored with their partner, I would probably say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is normal. I don't think it's good to get bored with your partner, but it probably is normal.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people do, but I think most relationships kind of suck. So
right. I think I agree. I think most relationships aren't very good.
We always talk about this is like a big thing. I think when it comes to relationships, people, and especially I remember when we got married, like everyone says this so much. They're like, oh, marriage and relationships, it's all about compromise. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, then I think you are with the wrong person. I mean, to a certain extent, I don't think everything is about compromise. I don't think it's like, you want to do this? Well, okay, well, I'll do this with you, but then you have to do this with me. It's like, wait, you guys aren't on the same wavelength, and that means you guys aren't right for each other.
Right.
Yeah, you should be thinking the same thing all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I couldn't be with someone who's like compromised. Like, oh, we'll do this today, and then tomorrow, well, I did that with him, so we have to do this today. Like I couldn't be in a relationship that involved with compromise, that revolved around compromise. I like to be like our relationship where, you know, you're my favorite person to hang out with.
Yeah.
Like, I only want to hang out with you. We do fun things all the time, or just do nothing, but I choose to like hang out with you. If I ever felt like I didn't want to do that, or I was bored of hanging out with you, then it would be really tough for me because I'm not good at like faking it.
Yeah.
Really.
No, you're not.
So I would have a hard time with that. But I get that people do get bored, but it's not a good relationship. Like I was thinking, like if something happened and like we weren't married anymore, like if you know, God forbid something happened,
if
like there's no chance I'd get remarried. Like I couldn't really be with anyone else. No one would be with me.
I feel like, yeah.
I feel like that would be impossible.
Why? Because you think no one could like deal
with
like
you? I would just be, no one would want to be with me. Like if I, you know, how I am. And I wouldn't want to be with anyone either.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, I think it's normal. Like I said, it's definitely normal for people to get bored, but I think shitty relationships are normal.
Yeah.
I think
that's,
people,
as
you
smart.
get older, people are constantly like, well, and I've been with groups of girls and I've literally heard them say this once and it was so uncomfortable. I was with a group of girls and the one girl's like, I told her, she's talking about the one girl's relationship. I told her, I remember my mom told me a long time ago that you're never going to find the perfect guy. You have to just find a guy and train them to be perfect. And she goes, and that's true. And she needs to learn that. And I was like, it was a group of girls and they're all like, yeah, you're right. You're right. And I was like, don't, in my head, I'm like, we were in an Uber. I was like sitting in front. I'm like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. I was like,
how long ago was this?
Like a year, within the year.
Oh, okay. So you knew me.
Yeah, we were married.
So you knew the perfect guy does exist.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like the only one that's married. But I was like, so they're going and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. And like, I was like, don't say anything because who cares if that's what they think? Like, I was like, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I feel like if you have to force someone to act the way you want, then maybe you should just find someone else. I think that's just people just, you know, find someone and they're just like so scared to be alone that they were like, I don't really care. This is good enough.
Right.
And then they get mad when things don't work. Like when I hear like friends or people like complain about their relationship, I'm like, well, then why are you with the person? Like, obviously you guys aren't meant for each other and that's fine. But people are so scared to be like, you know, as they get older, they're so scared to be alone that I'd rather be alone than be with someone that I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, me too.
But all right. Well,
what else?
Okay, this is a little bit more into training. Has Kyle ever thought about training for ADCC?
I wish that I was into jiu-jitsu like when I was like young and better at like wrestling and my body was in better shape. Because then I would have been very interested in it. But now I kind of started getting more into jiu-jitsu as I was like older. So now I don't think I could really train and be, you know, I couldn't train enough to put myself in a position to do well. So I have no interest in going and not doing well.
Right.
Like, if I was going to go, I'd go with the intention I'm going to win it. But I couldn't train enough because my body would not allow that at this stage anymore. So
you couldn't train like.
I couldn't train like 10 times a week. And I think you need to train probably like at least 8 times a week. Yeah. Probably 10 times a week to really be in position to like do well. Right. And I could train like 3 days a week. Right. At the most. So yeah. No.
And you're just not like, oh, I'm going to do it just for the experience just to see.
No, that's ridiculous. The people that do that are like weirdos in my opinion.
I mean, that's most people, I think.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to find something else to do.
Drive Uber.
Yeah, drive Uber.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm like, if you're not gonna do it, people are like, oh, just do it. It'll be cool. It's like,
no, it's only fun if you go and win. Right?
Yeah,
otherwise, I think it's just frustrating and depressing.
To me, I'm like, if there's like one person that you knew you couldn't beat, I'm like, well, then why would you even do it?
Well, if you thought that when you're competing, though, you shouldn't think that.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you think like,
at the ADCC trial, they didn't say like an IBJF. Like IBJF,
No.
that's more like the local.
No, I'm talking about ADCC.
ADCC is supposed to be the highest level. If you're going there, you should be thinking you're gonna win.
Yeah, I've heard people say like, oh, well, dude, there's only like 2 good people in your bracket. Basically saying like, there's only 2 people that you can't beat. It's like, well, then why would you do it?
Right.
But I don't know. I guess for the experience. But so you're saying if you were younger, your body could hold up a training camp.
Yeah, I wish I was introduced to that when I was like strong and young.
Now you're just old and weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What's your biggest challenge you faced during this camp? This is interesting. I feel like I really haven't had anything. I mean, I guess it would be like the training schedule is a little different, and then with the holidays closer to the end would be the biggest challenge. But like I've just handled it so well that I'm like, it's not even a big deal. I really haven't had anything. I mean,
no,
it's the same as any other.
Your weight is always a challenge, but that's every single camp.
That's everyone. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm at a point in my career like I'm experienced, and I've realized that over like the last year. I'm like, oh, like before I'd be like, what about this? I'm like, there's nothing that's gonna happen that like I haven't seen or can't deal with, or haven't seen like a teammate or a friend go through. So I'm just like at the point I'm so experienced that like, I mean, even if I had an injury, I don't even think that's a challenge, because you either like go through it or you just get your fight pushed back. So I don't really, you know what I mean? I don't think there's any challenges. You know, it's been smooth. So hopefully we keep that going. Okay. What was your favorite Christmas gift you had as a kid?
I can't really think of like a gift that really jumps out at me. I can't really think of a gift. There's
not like one specific, but I remember being a kid and my pop-up got me a TV for my room.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, damn. Like now I feel like every kid has, unless their parents are like against TVs in the room.
That was a big thing.
But like when I was young, most kids didn't have and my grandfather, he was like obsessed with TVs, like had TVs everywhere. Now it sounds so stupid because everyone has them. You're on your phone all the time.
No, it was a big deal.
Yeah. So I remember he got me a TV for my room, and I remember it was like so cool. It was like one of the big box ones, but it was so cool because it was white.
Wow.
Like no one had a white TV.
I don't think haven't seen a white TV.
Yeah. And I was like, this is so cool. I remember that.
I can't really think of anything.
I remember one year I got a portable DVD player. That was cool. I could like take it to like karate competitions and stuff. That was pretty cool.
That was like a really cool thing to have.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
No.
They probably don't sell very many portable DVD players anymore.
It's funny you say that. I saw.
There's no way they're still manufactured. No chance.
Yes, they are.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell
you right now. I saw someone on Instagram that was at Walmart buying one. They were buying it for their car. They were driving with kids, and they were like, the TV. They're like, our DVD player broke, so we're at Walmart. We have like a 7-hour drive, so we're buying a portable DVD player because we have to drive this many hours, and we have like 4 little kids in the car.
How is that a thing? Like,
I'm like, don't you just?
They don't still make VCRs, do they?
No, I don't think so.
It's the same thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was like, well, don't you just have iPads or phones?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. Last question, and I love this question. It's kind of just like a topic, and I love this because it's something that you're super into right now. They asked about the Liver King.
Oh.
You are so obsessed with him.
No, I'm not obsessed with him.
You were.
No. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, that someone has asked about the Liver King before, we just haven't answered it.
Like they know that you would like
gone
him.
Like viral. It's a person. His Instagram is @LiverKing, and he's gone viral. Like he's had it since I think September, and I was on him pretty soon. He had like 40,000 followers when I had him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 1 million followers now.
He has 1 million now?
Yeah, he's got 1 million followers. He started in September, but he's this like comically jacked guy, like ridiculously jacked, and he only eats like raw like testicles and liver and spleen and heart, and he just has like a piles of like raw meat,
and he just
mostly just shows what he eats, like bone marrow and liver,
raw eggs, drinks a lot of raw eggs.
Yeah, so I definitely find him entertaining, and he's obviously like amazing at like promoting himself. but I am not sure if it's like just an act, like to get people to do stupid shit. Like, is he trolling to get people to drink raw eggs and eat raw liver? Like, is it a troll?
I don't think he's trying to like trick people into doing it necessarily. I think it's just, but it is a little bit of an act. Because there's no way that that's like all he eats. I would think he would be a lot smaller if that's all he ate.
Right.
You know?
Well, he eats like the servings are enormous piles of like just raw meat.
Testicles.
Yeah, but I still, you're right. I think that it's just not enough calories to get that jacked. But I'm sure he's on like every type of steroid too.
Yeah.
But
he showed like him and his family were like on vacation.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, they're like living a normal, they're going on vacation. They're not eating raw liver.
He like says he sleeps on the floor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's definitely entertaining.
The only thing with it, at first when you showed me, I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. It's like, it's funny.
It's very redundant.
It's entertaining. But if you watch it for 3 days, you see in his entire content.
Yeah, it's the same clips
I'm like,
every single day.
I just feel like it's literally the same thing every day.
It's on a reel.
It's like the watch guy that posts like every
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock when he posts a picture of his watch when he wakes up.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you saw it one day, it's the same thing. So why don't you get sick of it after a while?
But he's the type of person, and there's a lot of people on Instagram and the podcast world that are just like, everyone becomes obsessed with, and they can say anything, and people like the guys who are really into grounding, and then people will go out and just stand in the grass and thinking that it's going to do something.
Yeah.
And people become like human podcasts, and they just like regurgitate things that like Ben Greenfield says or the Liver King and Jordan Peterson, and they're regurgitating things that they've heard on podcasts. And those guys though, they're almost like cult leaders.
Yeah.
Their ability to get people to fully buy into their unusual lifestyles.
It doesn't Liver King train jiu-jitsu? He posted a couple videos of him training jiu-jitsu.
He posted one and he was like, I remember that's when I kind of stopped liking him, but he posted one and the video was he got taken down, then instantly he like popped up a triangle on the guy.
Right.
And he's like, in the caption it said, there's very few people, possibly only one, ... my sensei, whatever, that can take down the Liver King. And I'm like, wait a minute. There are like thousands of people that could take down the Liver King. There's thousands of high school wrestlers that could take down the Liver King.
Yeah, yeah. So that's when you kind of stop.
Yeah, because like it's one thing to be like an expert on like nutrition or whatever, like primal nutrition, whatever he does, or even like weightlifting or being strong. But you can't fake being a good grappler.
No.
Nobody can pretend.
To say only your sensei in your backyard on puzzle mats is the only person that can take you down is a little insane.
Yeah, that's kind of when I stopped liking him. But
maybe we'll maybe one time on one of our episodes we should get raw liver and we should try to eat it and see what it tastes like.
Yeah, maybe.
Just for fun.
But he's not a good grappler though. You should just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Because even the best grappler in the world wouldn't say this is the only person who could take me down.
Right.
The best grappler in the world, there's hundreds of people who could take him down.
Exactly.
Or dozens for sure.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the only one.
Liver King, stay eating liver. Stop talking about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
But so that's it. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share the podcast and follow us on Instagram. We've been putting up more like reels and clips on the Instagram, so it's kind of getting better. And I'm a little self-conscious. Hopefully I sounded not terrible reading that.
I can't believe you tried to put that on me. Like, wait, you think I'm gonna read?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But and stay tuned. Early 2022. We want to try to drop some merch. So stay tuned for that. You're like news to me. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.